Formagi YouTube video k lia oper jo tum ny story lik kdhs k oper tai men strong hook lik k do. Hook jandar. Suspenseful our curiosity si barpor hona chaye k mary vauer engage ho jn our video ko ntk dekina wrong turn home. It all started on a quiet night when he got lost. The sky was pitch black, no stars, no streetlights from nearby homes. He was driving back home after working late. The road he knew so well now seemed unfamiliar in the dead of night. He picked up his phone to check the map. But suddenly, the signal disappeared. He tried driving further, hoping to find his usual route. But every road he turned onto seemed to lead him somewhere unknown. It was so dark that he started to feel the silence around him. The sound of his engine became the only noise in the air. He stopped when his headlights illuminated a house. A house that looked like it had been abandoned for years. He stepped out of the car to get a closer look. But with every step, something felt off. At the window of the house, a faint light flickered. He took another step closer. A cold breeze brushed past him, sending chills down his spine. Then, he heard footsteps, coming from behind him. He turned around, but there was no one. He almost couldn't believe what he was seeing. In the darkness of the house, something moved. It wasn't just the shadow of a tree or an animal. It looked like a person. He rushed back to his car. But now, the road to go home seemed to disappear. The path he had always known now felt like a maze. The more he drove, the more lost he became. His breath echoed in his ears, loud and frantic. Until finally, he glanced in the rearview mirror. And saw a shadow standing behind his car. Everything went still. It was just the shadow in the mirror. And it wouldn't fade away. A wrong turn home continued. The shadow in the mirror stood motionless, as if it were waiting for something. His heart began to pound in his chest. The cold sweat trickled down his neck, making the air in the car feel even colder. He tried to shake it off, telling himself it was nothing. Maybe just his mind playing tricks on him. But the shadow didn't move. It remained there, perfectly still. He couldn't take his eyes off the mirror. The longer he stared at it, the more real it became. The shape, the outline. It was almost as if the figure was growing clearer by the second. Suddenly, his hand shot out to turn on the headlights, hoping the light would make everything better. Hoping it would push the shadow away. But when the headlights flickered on, the shadow didn't vanish. It remained in the reflection. But now it seemed closer. Much closer. A chill ran down his spine. His hands tightened around the steering wheel. Was it possible? Could someone have silently approached his car without him noticing? He turned to look behind him. But there was nothing. The rearview mirror reflected nothing but the dark, empty road. He glanced back at the shadow. It was still there, only now. It was right next to the car. His breath caught in his throat. He pressed his foot hard on the gas pedal. The car lurched forward, the engine roaring to life. But the shadow didn't fade. It stayed, as though it were riding along with him. His eyes darted between the road and the mirror. His body frozen in a mix of fear and confusion. Then, the voice. A soft whisper, coming from the back of his head. It wasn't loud, but it was clear. Turn around. His hands shook on the wheel. He couldn't understand what was happening. Was it his mind breaking under stress? Or was this something else? The whisper repeated. This time, it was louder. Turn around. There was no mistaking it. His pulse raced faster than ever. Something was terribly wrong. He slammed on the brakes, the tires screeching as the car jerked to a halt. The silence that followed was deafening. He took a deep breath, trying to calm himself. The shadow was still there. But now, it seemed different. It wasn't just a dark shape anymore. There were details, features that he hadn't noticed before. The outline of a figure, wearing a hood. The shadow had hands, arms, and it was reaching for the door. His instincts kicked in. He shoved the car into reverse. Throwing his foot down on the pedal again. The car shot backwards, its tires skidding on the wet pavement. But the more he drove backwards, the further he felt from escape. The house he had seen earlier was gone. In its place was a dense wall of trees. The road ahead was nothing but an endless stretch of darkness. Suddenly, the lights of the car flickered. First, dimming, then flickering back to life. The car seemed to lose its momentum. As if the engine was being drained by some unseen force. It sputtered and died. A chill like ice ran down his spine as the car came to a complete stop. He was trapped. The headlights were still on. But now they seemed to be casting strange shadows of their own. The trees surrounding him looked different. Like they were closing in, tightening around him. And then, in the stillness, he heard it again. The whisper. This time, it was different. It wasn't asking him to turn around. It was telling him something far worse. Get out. The voice was cold, deliberate, and it seemed to be coming from all around him. His heart pounded in his chest. His hands were shaking uncontrollably. The car felt suffocating. Every part of him screamed to drive away. To find any way out of this nightmare. But the car wouldn't move. The engine was dead. He was stuck. For a moment, he just sat there. Frozen, listening to the silence. Then, out of the corner of his eye, he saw it. A figure standing at the edge of the trees. It was tall, thin, with a long cloak flowing in the wind. The figure was facing away from him. But somehow, he could feel its gaze on him. There was something about it, something that made his blood run cold. It wasn't human. It couldn't be. Without thinking, he grabbed the door handle. His fingers fumbled as he tried to open it. But the door wouldn't budge. It was as if it were locked from the outside. Panicking, he tried to open the windows. But they were stuck too. He was trapped inside.